Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for TWiT specials is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are here in studio once again, bringing you live coverage of a major breaking news story in technology, thanks to our friends at Slingbox. That can turn your iPad into a television. Watch the new iPad app from Slingbox. You can get it free. Actually, it's not free, is it? What is it? $29.99?
Yeah, it's $29.99
from the Apple Store, and watch your home TV and on your iPad anywhere you go. Check it out at slingbox.com, and of course Slingbox is available at Best Buy and Amazon. With me today, Tom Merritt.
Good morning.
Because he is our news director.
Is that right?
I just made that up.
Nice.
You could be.
Just got a promotion.
There's no money involved.
No, I know.
Just the title.
That's fine.
I think that you are.
I've gotten those kind of promotions a lot in my life.
That's why we cut your little notch in your desk.
I know. I
That's
like
the
the notch. Yeah. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
All right.
So Tom and I have mussed up here because that signifies how it is. Early in the morning it is for us. Here it is 10:03 Pacific time, 1 p.m. and 3 minutes Eastern time, and we're waiting for Facebook to go live with their product announcement. Let's see here.
There's Mark.
Mr. Zuckerberg now coming to the stage in the purple or magenta laptop.
His trademark gray T-shirt.
And Adidas shower shoes. Is he wearing them? We'll have to see. We can't tell. It's an iMac, but he's got a case over it that is purplifying it. All right, we're waiting for. There we go.
We're on. Thanks for coming out today. We've been busy building stuff for the past 6 months or so, and today marks the beginning of what we'll call launching season 2011, where we've been cranking out a bunch of projects that have taken a while for the past probably 6 months, and over the next coming weeks and months we just have a lot of fun stuff to roll out. So we're excited that you guys are all here. I was walking around the block this morning, and I have this neighbor who's 70 or 80 years old, and he's always doing work in his yard in the morning, and I walked by this morning and he's like, "I heard you guys are launching something on the radio." Yeah, it's going to be a good day. I hope it's video chat. Really want to chat with my grandson. It's like, all right, tune in. So, one of the things I love about Palo Alto. All right, so we got a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. I'm just going to jump right in. Before we get into the announcements that we're launching today, I want to give a bit of background and some narrative for the trend that we see playing out over the next period of time. Right. So, social networking is at this inflection point now, right? Where if you think about what social networking meant for the last 5 or 7 years, since Facebook has been around, the narrative has mostly been around connecting people, right? I mean, whenever folks write about Facebook or write about social networking, it's always about, oh, there's this new way that people are staying connected, or look at how many people are being connected, or look at how many people in all these different demographics or all different parts of the world are connected in this new way. And that's interesting, right? And that was a new phenomenon. And until the last couple of years, I think most people really had open questions about whether social networking was going to be this widespread, ubiquitous phenomenon in the world, whether it would be the type of application that would reach hundreds of millions or billions of people, whether it would be the type of thing that would really be universal that everyone would want to use. And I think that chapter is more or less done at this point. If you think about where we are now, I mean, sure, we're not everywhere yet. Facebook, other social software isn't everywhere. But I think that there's this clear arc where now the world probably generally believes that it is going to be everywhere, right? And that it's a matter of time before it's billions of people, whether it's us or someone else doing it, People generally believe that people want to stay connected with their friends and family and coworkers and all these folks around them, and someone is going to be building tools for that to happen. So the metric for the last 5 or 7 years to watch has really been about user growth, right, and connecting all these people. And one of our engineers at a hackathon a little while ago built this pretty cool visualization of the world and just connections between people in different places. And I guess we actually have a real-time version of this, and as the connections are forming in the lobby, which is cool, and this is just a screen cap, which I think captures it pretty well. Now, so that's the last 5 years. So the question is, what is the next 5 years? Is it just connecting the rest of this? I mean, that'll clearly be a big part of it, but I actually think the driving narrative for the next 5 years or so is not going to be about wiring up the world, because a lot of the interesting stuff has actually been done. It's about what kind of cool stuff you're going to be able to build and what kind of new social apps you're going to be able to build now that you have this wiring in place, this kind of social infrastructure. And when I first saw this visualization, it really reminded me of some of those maps of the internet that you see, right? And you saw this thing with the internet when it was first developing, where it really took a few years or a while for it to get mature to the point where really serious companies that had been building desktop software decided, okay, we're going to pivot and we're going to build we're going to build internet software instead, or we're going to build websites or web apps. And I think we're at this inflection where we're about to see that with social apps as well, right? Where as we look around the industry and talk to different folks, companies that are really best in class in whatever they do, games, music, communications, any industry that you can really think of, search, are thinking about, how are we going to offer our product and do it in a social way on top of social infrastructure, because that's the way that stuff is going to play out over the next 5 years. So that's some of what we have to talk about today, are some examples of apps that you can build once you have this infrastructure in place. But one of the things that I think is really important is how you measure these things, right? Because if the last 5 years or so have been about user growth, right, and measuring that in terms of active users, right, we were the first company to say, no, it's not about registered users, it's actually the people who are actually using the network that you have in place, which forms this infrastructure. The next 5 years isn't just going to be about active users, right? I mean, we'll see it go from where it is today to hopefully we'll get to 1 billion at some point, and the whole social industry will get to billions. But I think that people generally think is going to happen. And at some point, you don't measure the value that the internet is providing to society by the number of people who are using the internet, right? You measure it by the amount of value that people are getting, the apps that people are using, how much time they're spending, like how much it's driving the economy. And I think we see a version of that with sharing on Facebook as well. So one of the underlying trends that we've seen that I think is actually pretty interesting, that's even more powerful than all these folks signing up, is the rate at which they're sharing more and more stuff. And we've seen this trend for the last, really since the site began, where if you plotted out the amount of stuff that people are sharing, it's growing at this exponential rate, right? Not across the whole base. If you look at any given user, right, on average, the amount of stuff that they share today is about twice the amount of stuff that they would have shared this day a year ago. And if you plot that forward, it will be, statistically, from what we've seen so far, about twice as much as they're sharing today a year from now, and twice as much as that a year from that. And that kind of exponential growth is really profound, right? It means that people maybe started off sharing one thing a week, and then in a very short period of time, you end up sharing a ton of stuff. And one of our investors always tells me that humans are really bad at understanding exponential growth. And he gave me this example of if you took a piece of paper, right, and folded it on itself 50 times, how tall would it be? Haven't you guys heard this before? It's pretty interesting. I mean, how tall do you think it would be? Most people would say it's like, a few feet, right? I mean, that's 50 times, that's a lot. It turns out it goes to the moon and back more than 10 times. Which is, it's kind of interesting, just like your intuition around how these exponential functions grow, because it's 2 to the 50 times whatever the height of a piece of paper is. Right, so it's a very small base, doubling many times, and it ends up being...
I can't tell if this is because he likes talking about this or he thinks the tech press is stupid.
But in theory, it's pretty interesting. And if you look at
So far,
where,
he said
where
we're
Facebook
making
is,
good
and
we're like a good communist country. We've got 5-year plans.
Yeah. And we're now entering the second 5-year
We want
plan.
to be the internet. We want people to build
That's your
apps on our
interpretation,
plans.
but
That
he
is
is
my
saying-
interpretation.
He's saying the next 5 years.
The internet is like this. This is what makes the internet good. So
Right.
we're going to do that.
Right, so it was reported we hit 750 million users. We did. The reason why we didn't report it is because we don't think it's the metric to watch anymore. But we did. We have 750 million users now, and it's still growing quickly. But the thing that's growing even faster is the amount of sharing per person. Right, so this isn't aggregate sharing across the network, because that's actually growing at a faster rate than this, because in addition to the amount that each person is sharing, the overall size of the network is also growing at a very quick rate. But if you just looked at the amount of stuff that each person was sharing, it's growing incredibly quickly. Now, these exponential curves, because they grow so quickly, you don't tend to look at them like this, because they just go off the chart too quickly. So you tend to look at them in
logarithmic scale.
what we call a log normalized graph. Right, so that way, if you look at the y-axis here, it's skewed, right? So it's not going up linearly.
I'm going to interpret this as either he's going to talk for an awful long time, or he doesn't actually have a whole lot to say, because
how progress is being made over time.
this is frankly fairly
the most
extraneous at
famous
this point. He
one
could have
that we
said
have in the
sharing is
technology
doubling every
industry
year and left it at
is,
that.
And it's not
more
terribly
of
well organized. It's not your
Yeah.
classic.
Well, he's got the
Show a
slides.
number, show a number, show a number. It's not. It feels like he's riffing a little.
It's a lecture. He does have the slides, so he's going in some order.
You could put on an integrated circuit, doubled.
Yeah,
just
we
about
know
every
Moore's
18
law.
months
Thank
or so.
you.
And
What
that
I'm
would
trying to say is it
continue.
doesn't sound
And they use that
practiced.
to drive
that may be
all
true.
of these, like all these industry trends, right? They figured, okay, well, if this is going to keep on growing at this rate, then that means that 18 months from now or 36 months from now, we're going to need to be able to support
this is
these
starting
types
to border
of
on
apps
the
that are really
patronizing,
intense.
to be
In order to
honest.
do that, we're going to need
Especially
to be able
the
to fit
Moore's
this
I mean,
many
does he think
transistors
he's
onto a
talking
micro-
maybe to his
onto an
general
integrated
Facebook
circuit.
audience
And
at this
in order
point?
to do
I don't
that,
know.
we're going to need wires
Or
that
the
are 16 nanometers, so we
business
better start
press
researching
versus the
copper
tech
now.
press?
Facebook's
Right?
reporting
And,
46,000
and there were these interesting trends like that. And,
viewers,
we
live
kind of
viewers right
see our own growth and the growth of the social ecosystem following a pretty similar trend, right? So if you look at how sharing has grown, you can kind of plot this out into the future and say, okay, well, if this is what people are sharing now,
No, you
then
can't.
what types of
I can tell you
things
right
are
now, it can
people
only
gonna have
double
to
a
be
few
doing,
times. There's
or what
not
types of
an
apps are
infinite
gonna
amount
have
of
to
stuff to
exist
share.
You can't
3 or
fold a
5
piece of paper
years from
50
now,
times.
Yeah.
in order to
And you
make it so
cannot,
that,
frankly, double the
this
amount of
trend
we
can
share every
continue
year.
because we
You
believe
don't
that it
have
will. And we
that
believe
much
that,
to share.
You know, if you look at where the site started off, I don't know how many of you guys remember Facebook in 2004. There wasn't that much to do. I mean, you could like update some interests on your profile, right? So not a surprise that the graph starts off with people sharing around 0.1 things a day, right, on average. And then as the site went on, we
This
made it
does
so people
speak
could
to
share
one
more
of the
stuff.
features
There's this
Facebook
feedback
can
when
really
people wanted
tout,
to
which
share
is the
more stuff, which is
stickiness
why
of
we
the
built
page.
those
People spend a
products.
long time
So
every day on Facebook.
we,
And
originally did stuff like
interestingly
photos.
enough, Google
That was
Plus
way
has
before
shown
mobile photos,
even greater
most
stickiness. So
people
this
were
is
uploading big
perhaps
albums. They did that maybe once every few weeks
where he's
on
going
average.
with this.
Increased the amount of stuff that was being shared. Then things like newsfeed increased the rate of flow through the whole site, so people were sharing more stuff and consuming more stuff. Platform obviously made it so that there was a whole wave of new type of sharing that could happen. Then you introduce lighter weight ways for people to share stuff, like the like button, ways for people to segment their audiences, like groups, which have been
Chat
really
rooms putting
successful, which we'll get into in a
links
second.
to
Lighter weight
Skype,
messages.
Facebook.
And we just think that this is going to
And
keep
what is the
going.
URL for that?
So this is the next
it's one of those
5
long
years,
ones,
I
but
think.
That's a long
If
one.
you
Okay.
look at this,
Skype and
not on a
Facebook,
log
the best of
normalized
both worlds.
graph,
Skype and
but
Facebook
on
have
the
teamed up to make it
exponential
easier
graph,
than ever to stay in touch. Instant
it's
message,
right
import your
where it's
newsfeed,
like the elbow
comment,
of the
and
curve.
like,
I mean,
all from
we're
within
at
Skype.
an
All right, let
extremely
me,
interesting point
well, that's interesting.
for
That's
the
within
world
Skype.
in this evolution. And the stuff that
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. I guess I have to keep him in front.
We'll
if I
make
wanna-
your announcement
infrastructure
for you,
that we've
Mark.
built, and it's just, I mean, all the apps that you use are going to be very dramatically different.
Yeah, every time I click him, it
Work building for the last 6 months. We have a lot of stuff along this theme over the next few months
You
that
didn't
we're
miss
getting ready to
anything,
roll
trust
out,
me.
and we have a few things that we want to talk about today.
Here we go. Thank you.
And there's a
So,
Facebook blog post.
Now
up
this is
now.
where we are today. We have 4 billion things on aggregator shared.
Call your
on
friends
every day.
right from
Is
Facebook.
this on Facebook?
So
There's one on
that's
Skype
just kind
and
of a
one
bit
on
of
Facebook.
narrative for just to put all the stuff that we're going to do into context. Now, the stuff that we're doing today actually doesn't even play into the 4 billion at all. This is more like public type things that are being shared, not individual messages. Today we're going to talk about some kind of private communication channels.
Well, they've essentially scooped themselves. There's a blog post from Philip Sue up on the Facebook
the
blog.
first is group chat, and
group chat, new design, and video
right now,
calling.
about half of Facebook users, I actually think it's more than half of Facebook users, are using groups, which we rolled out less than a year ago. It's a really powerful organizing function because if you think about it, it makes it so that your networking community can do the work of organizing these communities for you, right? So not every person has to go through and curate. It's really powerful. If you think about your own use, I mean, how many of you guys even send a lot of friend requests, right? I mean, most of our users actually, or at least a lot of our users just accept a lot of friend requests and don't do any of the work of wiring up their network themselves. So Groups has been a super powerful vehicle for more than half of the user base in a really short period of time to get ramped up. And already a really meaningful portion of the sharing that I just said is going through Groups. So we want to enable that. You can already kind of form a group and have group chat, but we just want to make it so that you can do ad hoc chat as well, and we think that this is going to be something that's really valuable. A lot of people have asked for it.
So that's similar to what you can already do in Google+.
A new chat design. One of the things that's really surprised us, we reported a while ago that there were billions of messages going through our chat system a day, and one of the things that's always been surprising to us was how hard it is to find people who are online, right? I mean, yet this number is still so massive. You either have to go click on the buddy list in the lower right-hand corner to pop it up, or there's that little thing on the face pile that we call it on the home page that it just has your friends' faces really densely, so if you know who they are, then you can maybe see if they're online, but it's more of a power user feature. And we just figured, if we can make it so that people who have the screen width, which a lot of our users do, to run normal Facebook and have a buddy list, then that would just be really powerful. And we think a lot of people are going to want this. Given that we're already one of, if not the biggest chat network in the world, and there's no really good way to see who's online, we think that this is going to be a really meaningful thing for that part of the communication. And the third thing is video calling. And we're doing this with Skype. And I think that this is kind of symbolic of the type of way that we're going to do these things for a number of reasons. The first is I was talking before about building these social apps on top of this social infrastructure. One of the coolest things that you'll see when we demo this in a second is the way that this works.
He's racing through these.
Like I can go to Peter's
he took too much time
profile,
on the Moore's Law.
Peter's the PM for the project. And even if he hasn't installed the plugin to do video chat yet, I can just go and I can click call him, and something will pop up on his screen saying that Mark is calling him, and in real time he can just go and click that he wants to download the plugin. It takes 10 or 20 seconds,
so this is
and
what's
then we're video
happening.
chatting, and it's awesome. And that type of thing is only possible
started, it says,
because
who do you
the
want to
social
call, gives you
infrastructure
your
already
list.
exists, right? I mean, the system already knows that we're connected,
knows
and we already have a pipe open between us,
and
so
I can
new
click a
apps
link
like
and
video
say,
chat
call
can just
them.
flow across that, right? I mean, it's not the case
But a surprising number
like
of
with
my
traditional Skype
contacts
where
have the
both people have
I
to have
have moved
downloaded Skype
icon.
beforehand. So
Yes,
we think that this is awesome because we're using the best technology that's out there for doing
Who
video
should I
chat. With the best social infrastructure
Andy.
that's out there in order to
tried.
create some really cool new scenarios. So
give
turns
Andy
out
a
that dude who I
face-to-face
walked
call
by
with the video call
will
button.
actually get to video chat with his grandson. So
I guess
that's
I have
cool.
to install he has to install the plugin.
The other thing that I think is really meaningful about us working with Skype on this is that
It's
I
built
think it
into the
underlies our
chat
approach to building this stuff.
infrastructure
Right, I mean, we believe that the social infrastructure is
here. It's basically part
is
of
so
chat.
important to the way that this whole
can video
industry is going to
chat.
develop. That's
But
the
it
part
is
that we want to
individual
focus
chat.
on.
I think that's
And we want to
So there's
leave
no video in the
all
group
of the
chat.
different types of apps, or as much as possible, to independent entrepreneurs and companies who are going to be best in class at building those things. And that's
So
a
I have
really
to,
different strategy
install
if you
a
think
one-time
about it
plugin.
than the strategies of a lot of the other major
It's a
internet
Java
companies out there who
app.
try to do everything themselves. And we just have this belief at Facebook, partially
it's
validated by
downloading
the success that
quickly.
we've had with platforms so far,
Installing.
that independent entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who focus on one specific type of thing will always do better than a company that's trying to do a million things. That's what we're banking on. I mean, we think that we're going to build this social ecosystem where we build the infrastructure, we're years ahead in wiring it up, and we're going to enable all these other folks to build world-class apps on top of that that are really going to define how people use software for the next 5 years. So that's what we're excited about. That's what we're doing today. Now I'm going to hand it off to
So
Peter
Andy's
Dang,
setting
who's
it up.
gonna walk
We'll
through
talk to him in a
these
second,
things and give some demos. So thank you guys for coming out.
So that's Mark Zuckerberg announcing a new group chat,
Thank
new
you, Mark.
design, and video calling
I'll
for
start with,
Facebook, which rolls out
with
today.
Group chat. So one of the things that we do here at Facebook is we look at how our users are using the product, and we listen to feedback, and that's where a lot of our ideas for new products come from. So just to give you a little background on group chat, we noticed that after launching the new groups less than a year ago, that people loved the feature. 50%, like Mark said, over 50% of the people on
set up
Facebook
groups.
are active users of groups. And the other thing that we learned is that people love chatting with these groups. It's a great way to coordinate a dinner or coordinate a movie out. And because these groups are on average about 7 people per group, you really have that intimate relationship and intimate conversations. And we realized that we really wanted a good way for you to start these conversations more easily with ad hoc groups. So imagine that you have a spontaneous idea and you want to see a movie with a friend. You're not exactly sure what movie you want to see or who you want to go with. Today, with one click, you can add friends to chat and turn that into a group chat. I can add Wei here, and immediately we're able to chat and kind of talk about what movie we want to see, coordinate the times, and all that stuff. So if your friends are online, they will see these messages immediately. If they are not available to chat, they'll receive a summary of the conversation at a later time. So that's group chat. Really easy to get started, and we'll be rolling that out starting today. The second thing I want to talk about is the new chat design. Like Mark said, chat is one of the most loved features on Facebook, and even though it's been kind of hard to start a conversation, it's not been the most prominent thing to start a chat conversation. And the new design that we're rolling out takes into account your browser size, and it takes into account, it kind of scales with your browser. So if your browser is wide enough, we will show you a sidebar.
Sub-Zero
And the sidebar will include
Google
friends
Plus
that are
wins
available,
double
so you can
flawless
start
victory.
conversations right away. It'll also include friends that are currently unavailable to chat. And the reason we're doing this is because
more complicated
people that you
to
want
launch
to talk
than
to,
the Google
they may
Plus
not be online,
chat,
but you can
I
still
feel like.
want
I mean, it's
to
not
send a
terribly
message very
complicated,
quickly.
but
so we're
it's not
giving
the
you
same.
really
It's not as
one-click
intuitive.
access to the people that you message most with the sidebar.
It ain't no huddle.
The other thing that we're rolling out today
I'm also seeing
is a
I
simplified
can
chat
record a
chat.
message
So we've
my,
basically taken a look at the design,
correspondence. So I
figured
called
out
Kevin
what we
and
want
he
to
didn't
launch
answer,
in the
but I
coming
can
months, and
record a
we
message.
adapted the design to fit that. So today we'll be rolling out video calling, which is what Philip will be talking about. But in addition to supporting
This does work
group
on
chat,
Chrome. I'm using
we
it on
have a
Chrome
little
on
an
Mac.
icon right there for one-on-one chat.
Because
so
it's
I can
Java,
go
I would
ahead and
expect it
call,
to work
Tom
cross-platform.
very
We're talking about
quickly.
let's
but also worth noting is that
continue though.
as we roll these things out, we're going to be testing them and listening to users' feedback.
This
and
is
kind of iterating around
facebook.com/video calling
So
for
with
the
that,
video calling.
Philip is going to give a demo and walk through video calling. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Philip. I'm an engineer in Facebook's Seattle office, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about video calling. Video calling is a great feature on Facebook that we're rolling out today that you can get to not only through the chat tab, but also on any friend's profile page. Basically, if your friend is online, with one click on the call button, you can go ahead and establish a video call with them. The call connects immediately. You see the friend, you see
this is
an
Skype
image of yourself,
underneath, yes?
and you're off and talking.
Do we know that?
So instead of
Skype
just
is
telling you about the
integrated
feature,
Facebook, so
let me actually show you
I
the
think
feature
Zuckerberg
working.
may have even said Skype.
So I'm going to go to our production live site right now and show you how we can establish a video call.
Apparently having a little... I'm just looking. I don't see anybody with video on my Facebook friends list. But
over here I've got Jerry, a friend of mine on chat, and I can ask him, hey, you know, what's up? Got him in, right? So you're text chatting away with Jerry, and let's assume that Jerry does have a minute. He's typing to me back. And you see this start a video call button.
Yeah, Skype.
This is how we're going to roll it out so that
this,
every
by the way,
user
is
can actually use it quite easily.
exactly what's been in Google
So all I have to do
Talk, Google Chat,
is click call.
for at least a
And
year.
right now, we negotiate the call connections between the two machines. You see the video window getting ready and launching up.
In fact, most chat,
And then we connect
AOL
right
and
through,
Yahoo
to
also
Jerry,
have
wherever he
incorporated
is
this for
right
some
now.
time.
You see a selfie
This is
of
essentially
ourselves.
getting parity
And then
with
his video
existing
loads so that
dedicated
I can see
IM
him.
platforms.
How are the launch numbers looking, Jerry?
They're looking really good. We've already launched to millions of users.
Awesome. So thanks a lot, guys. I know you guys are working hard.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call
Say
in.
hi to Phil.
Phil's a stranger who wandered into the office today. That's obviously the Seattle office. Good video.
Great, awesome, thanks guys. I know that you guys are working hard, and the guys at Skype are obviously working hard also to make this happen. So I just wanted to.
The reason I say the plugin is Java is because it is a .jar file that you would download when you download it. That's a Java archive file.
So right now you
might
see
be a Java stub.
I know that you have 1,000 questions going through your mind. You're probably even preparing what you're going to say about this thing. But I want you to pause for a second and just remember what we did here, and especially focus on how did that feel?
Hey, Eileen.
Can you believe that your least technical friend
because I'm
can
using
get online
bye, Eileen.
With someone else?
That was fast.
Someone who listened to the radio this morning
It's a short call.
and thought that he might be able to connect.
Just want to say hey,
but it worked.
He actually used
briefly
this feature and get connected. Absolutely. No separate accounts.
Did it just drop?
Websites to go to. The download is small and easy.
Oh, okay.
One button click to any online friend on a social network that already has all your friends. This is by far the easiest way to get connected by video.
No, it's not.
If it was any easier than that one click, it would be reading your mind, basically. Right? So I want to talk about a little bit about the effort we put in to make this possible for people. One of the classic hurdles to getting started on video calling, of course, is the download. And I want to show you what the downloads look like on the site. So you click call on your grandson's chat tab, right? And of course he has a parent using it with him. And then you click setup. And as soon as you approve
Grandpa
the
will
output,
find this
it literally goes
something
in and
unusual and
automatically
new
downloads within
because
seconds.
presumably he's not using
And immediately
AIM or
calls and
Yahoo
connects.
Messenger. Or
But it's
Later
not
when
any
we tried this
different than
today,
Hangout.
this should
You had to
happen
install
Google
something
Talk.
with
under
Hangout
30
too.
seconds.
Right, and it isn't Hangout because it's one-on-one.
That easy. 2 clicks,
Hangout, I think,
I'm
is easier to
connected,
launch once
and
it's
I'm
set
looking
up.
at my friend and talking with them.
You just push a button, start a
So
Hangout.
this is
Yeah, it's
about
right there
the
on your
world's
left side nav all
largest
the
and
time.
But the
best
difference is
social
it's not. You're not calling anybody. I mean, this is
You can hang
this
out
is
with
an
one
increment
person,
to chat.
I
Yeah, I
guess.
guess you
And
could.
now
You
the
can
world's
invite just
easiest
one person.
one-click way to get
It's actually
connected.
harder to do a one-person chat with Hangout. Hangout's
not
really
designed
designed to be a
for
Hangout.
Facebook
Yeah.
video calling, and it's rolling out.
But you can use Google Talk and have been able to use Google Talk for some time to do this. As I said, with AIM and Yahoo and MSN Messenger, this is not new. However, if you're new to Facebook, or if you're not a
Or
sophisticated
if
user,
Facebook is the internet for you.
right?
then, yeah.
This is
So at this point, I want to invite the CEO of Skype, Tony Bates, up here, who we've worked really closely on this whole thing, just to say a few words about the partnership.
This is not taking people who are impressed with Google Plus back to Facebook. This is keeping people within Facebook and
Right.
saying, you may have heard about this Google Plus.
right.
Don't
We
okay,
got that.
Wait, don't worry
We
about
do
it.
that.
On the leading social network out there. Yeah, I just want to start off by talking a little bit about Skype and in particular video. Firstly, thanks for the great words about the technology. Skype's mission has really been to make communications as pervasive and as ubiquitous as possible. And just to give you a couple of statistics
We're watching
around
live
where we are with
coverage
video
of
calling
the
today
Facebook announcement
within Skype, and obviously this is going to be
from their
propelled
Mountain
to a
View
whole new level,
headquarters.
working
They've announced
with
group
Facebook
chat,
and on the web.
a new
We're now
design to
averaging
their
over
chat.
300 million minutes a
And
month
right now,
of
video
and
calling.
peak
We're
times.
watching Tony Bates, the CEO
We are
of
now
Skype.
over 50% of all of our traffic is video calling traffic. The story you told this morning when you were walking in is the classic use case of Skype. It's the grandchild speaking to the grandparent. It's the person who maybe is away in a remote place, perhaps in the
Kevin
armed
Mark's
forces,
response
trying to get back
on Twitter to
their
the
loved ones. That's what
call
Skype's all
was
about.
Facebook demos group
You know,
chat
this
by having 8
partnership,
guys stand
that
around
we
the
struck
camera.
with companies.
Well,
it started
Skype
off
charges
with
for
us
group chat.
really starting to
Pardon me?
So Skype
some
charges
of
for
the
group
early
chat.
parts
That's
of
true.
social
So that's not
media.
something
That's
they're
true.
going to willingly just roll out
Contact,
for free in
thinking about
Facebook.
Interesting.
integrating IM.
And I do wonder, and
But
I
when
hope
we
you'll
really
address
thought
this, what
about where
the
we take
Microsoft
this,
acquisition means for this.
We'd already sort of cracked the desktop. We've been focused on mobile, and we started to make our way into the living room. And obviously the next place is really to make it simple and easy and to get to the web. And there's no greater place to get to the web than with inside Facebook, one click. The technology itself, it's tough. We're talking about billions of people. That's the message you heard today. It's not the new metric.
Probably
but
one of the
we will
reasons
be at
Skype is
billions
the
of
only
people
good solution for
with
this, because as a
scale.
peer-to-peer system,
And
it
to do that,
scales with that many
we've worked
users.
very hard with all the lessons learned, as Skype has also...
Google's
about
using a
multiple
client-server
scales. So when we started working on this,
technology that
roughly
might
I'd
not
say
scale
about
well with
6
that many
months
users.
ago,
Could it help
thinking about how
Skype
we
to
do
have
deep
Facebook
integration,
using Skype,
it
adding
became clear
peers?
that we
Could
could
be.
establish a
Yeah.
long-term,
In fact, that may be the
clear
case because, of course,
relationship
as you
with
know,
both
if you are a
of
sophisticated
us.
user, you
And we really
turn off
think
the
this
super
is a
node
joint
capability in
development
Skype
way
because it slows
in
you
true
down and
partnership
We do that here. We give it a dedicated port which turns off Supernode. And if you use a router, you won't be a Supernode. But people who are right on the internet, not using routers, are actually Skype Supernodes. And that's interesting. We'll have to find out. That would be a great benefit to Skype.
Business sense as well. We get huge reach. In the future, we're talking about potentially also having Skype paid products available within the web format that we saw here
As
today.
in group
so
chat?
we're very excited about it. I think we have a shared vision of what communication can mean, and
Skype
there's
in.
no finer social platform to really stick your technology on top. So we appreciate the fact that we're going to have this partnership, Mark. I think it's been great working with you.
And as soon as Microsoft takes over, we'll be seeing
together. So with that,
Microsoft's an investor
we
in
look
Facebook.
forward to bringing
actually, I think this
video
is
calling powered by
This is something
Skype on
I
Facebook
thought
for
Microsoft
every one of you out there. Thank you
would
very
do
much.
itself as soon as they acquired Skype.
And May.
Yeah, well, I'd certainly support this, I think. No, I meant they would give Skype to Facebook.
No, I think they'll also integrate Skype into Microsoft products.
Wrap it up, and then we will do some Q&A for a short period of time.
You're watching our live coverage of
just
Facebook's
a brief
awesome
summary of what we went over today.
Merritt and Leo Laporte.
I think it was pretty brief, the whole announcement, so I'll keep the summary really brief. Group chat. Now more than half of our users are using groups, and this gives them an ad hoc way to do that without having to set up the group up front. The new chat sidebar and design makes it so that now a lot of our users who have wide enough screens will have a much easier time initiating conversations, which we think is just going to increase traffic dramatically. And of course, video calling, which is the first example of what we think is a great social app that really the integration that we did together could not be built without the social infrastructure that has been building up over the last 5 years, but also could not be built without the great technology that your team has invested in. And I just think we're going to see a lot more things like this over the next few months and years. Some of them are going to be partnerships like this. Some of them are just going to be folks building on top of platform. But we're really excited for what we have to bring. So thank you guys for coming out here today. Let's take some questions.
You're watching live coverage of
Barry,
Facebook's announcement.
I think Barry is going to moderate.
Yeah, that's
Brought to you by Slingbox, which could turn your iPad into a television with a new iPad app from Slingbox. You can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you go. We're big Slingbox fans here. We want you to check it out at slingbox.com. Best Buy and Amazon, too. Slingbox. Thank you, Slingbox, for making this possible.
First one down here in front. Somebody get here. Ben here, Mike in the middle.
The tech journalists all have their heads down.
They're filing.
Ben Parr of Mashable.
They're live blogging.
Ben Parr.
Two quick questions. One, is group video chat possibly in the future? And second,
Ben's a big user
on the
of,
same note, I have to ask, what do you think of Google Hangouts?
I
Good going, Ben.
mean, well,
He's
so
getting some
for
pats.
Today we're doing one-on-one, right? We just rolled out group chat for text. We've actually, the companies have been working together for a while. I think we were actually working with Skype before you came to Skype, and then the relationship got a lot closer once we started working a lot more closely together, and we drove that into the companies. And now Skype is obviously a part of Microsoft,
Tony
and
was
we have a very long-standing
Cisco
relationship with Microsoft. So I mean, you were alluding before to some of the features that are coming in the future, so I wouldn't rule anything out, but I also wouldn't undersell the importance of what we have today. I mean, the vast majority of video chat is one-on-one chat, and this is going to be something that's rolled out to everyone immediately that you can integrate through the web. I just think that this is super awesome. Yeah. We're really excited about the product that we built, and you could see it before. It's so minimal and it's so easy to use. I really think a lot of people are going to want to do it.
I'll just add one thing. I mean, I think the one-to-one intimate piece of this is by far the most important part of the video experience. We see that today within our technology, and I think it's an awesome start for us. And as we build the partnership, we'll continue to look at great things.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the Google stuff goes, I mean, I'm not going to say a lot about Google Plus. Obviously, we've all only spent a little bit of time on the service. But in terms of the narrative that I was saying earlier, where the last 5 years have been about connecting people, and now that you have that social infrastructure in place, the next 5 years are about building these apps. I think what you're going to see is a lot of companies that haven't traditionally looked at social networking in their apps. Not just companies like Google, but also, I mean, you guys obviously had a large social component before this, but there are going to be a lot of apps and companies that are out there. I mean, Netflix is a good example that comes to mind, and they've talked publicly about how they're trying to really do social stuff well.
Pay no attention to Google. What about Netflix?
And they haven't traditionally done social stuff, but now that there is the social infrastructure in place, I just think you're going to start seeing all these different companies trying to build on top of that. And it's going to be a hybrid in all these places between trying to build on top of social infrastructure that already exists, and some of the folks are going to try to build some of their own. And I don't know, I view a lot of this as validation that this is the way that the next 5 years are going to play out, right? I mean, every app is going to be social.
They're all just imitating us.
And
Right.
I just think our job is to
I have to point out that this really seals the deal between Microsoft and Facebook. Facebook has hitched its wagon to Bing and now Skype. And I have to wonder if that's a mistake for a company that wants to be forward-thinking and fast-moving.
Greg Sterling, Search Engine Land. So this is a question for Tony. This obviously does give you immediate reach into a huge community. Do you have any concern that people are going to switch from direct Skype usage to Facebook now because it's so simple, so elegant in integration, and you're already on Facebook? What do you think about that?
No concerns. As I said, I think this is a great strategy, and both from a business point of view as well. So we've had discussions about where we can take this. I think for us, the most important thing, we always set a goal of 1 billion. This helps us get there. We want to be as ubiquitous as possible. And then I think great things will happen from there. So we're very excited about it. Obviously, we talked about it early on. We made the strategic decision. I think the long-term partnership far outweighs any concerns that there's some users move from Skype to Facebook or vice versa.
No, in fact, it lets them, as he mentioned, upsell paid services of Skype. This is a huge win for Skype.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Larry Magid, CBS News. It wasn't clear from the demo how you accept a video invitation.
It comes in, Larry,
so
right on the
if I were
on the
to
screen.
Want to have a video chat with Mark, how is it that we could accidentally avoid me turning on Mark's video camera?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so you go to a friend's profile, you click call, something pops up on their screen, and they accept the call, right? So we actually spent a lot of time designing that experience because we also didn't want it to be modal, right? Because a lot of times on Facebook, you're in the middle of doing something else, and you don't want to have to click to accept or reject a call before going back to some other app that you're in. But we also wanted to make it completely clear. So you will get a ring, right, like as if your phone is ringing or your computer is ringing, and you will get this box that pops up, and you can accept it or you can click out of it or do whatever you want, but definitely your video camera is not turning on until you accept it. Yeah.
Google Chat doesn't work in Linux.
Over here on the right Sarah Lane says that it doesn't work on the iPad either.
Hi, John Fort, CNBC. Hey, Tony. This is kind of a Skype question, I guess, following up on one that was asked earlier about what's in it for Skype financially. Obviously, you make most of your money when people Skype out or do something like that. And I don't quite see how this leads to more of that. Can you give some perspective on how this helps Skype as a business?
Sure. I mean, we're not talking about futures. I did allude to the fact that there will be an opportunity potentially to have Skype paid products as part of this, but obviously today we're just focused on really creating a broad reach to the website of it, and we're very comfortable with that.
Okay. Anybody over here on the left in the orange shirt?
Hi, Rafe Needleman from CNET. Can you talk about these new features with regards to mobile applications, tablets or smartphones?
No iPad announcement today, by the way.
Well, the video calling integration isn't live for mobile yet.
It doesn't work.
The
answer
chat redesign
doesn't work.
Mobile doesn't have wide screens yet.
That's
why?
why?
So that's not applicable. And the group chat stuff works. So I mean, like one of the things that is most unique about our messaging system is that when you send a message, your inbox is actually the same as the IM interface that pops up.
Twitter going wild, by the way.
The IM is just a kind of a quick way to engage in a conversation
in
when you're online, but you can also have those conversations from your inbox when you're on mobile as well. And I don't think that this really changes that much. I mean, these are mostly web features, I guess I would say for now. But
when video on mobile?
We'll see. I mean, we develop in a pretty iterative way, right? I mean, we try to do each thing and have each thing be really good, and then we'll work on the next thing, I'm sure, starting tomorrow.
All right, in the middle there in the blue-green shirt. There you go.
Hi, Mark. Chris Primesberger from eWeek, and Tony. Our question about the impact on the infrastructure of Facebook. This is obviously going to be a huge load. What does Facebook do to accommodate all that? Are you going to continue to build your own data centers, et cetera, or what?
Well, Yeah, I mean, we're definitely on this trend now where it makes sense for us, given the scale of usage and information flowing through the network, where we're probably going to be building more of our own data centers instead of leasing, right, and going in that direction. But I mean, one of the fundamental innovations that Skype had
viewership
that made Skype work 5 or 7 years ago was that it's all peer-to-peer.
48,753
I mean, the core video calling functionality here,
close to
that
49,000.
part of the app is actually built by Skype, and the reason why they have such widespread adoption is that because a lot of before broadband was built out across the world, they had a way of doing video calling that was, I guess, low bandwidth enough, but efficient enough that people loved it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of the most amazing things about the company.
Yeah, just to clarify, the way think of this simply as a mini Skype client that's obviously been very nicely embedded in a way that's very simple with the download, as you saw, but it uses the same technology. So it's really powered in the same way through the peer-to-peer technology.
Okay, we have time for just a couple more questions. How about over here on the right?
Hi, Rich Jaroslawski from Bloomberg. Question, what is the current overlap between Facebook users and Skype users?
That might be public. Yeah, I don't even know.
No, we don't necessarily track those numbers today.
I would be disappointed if they did know that, to be honest with you. That would scare the hell out of me.
All right, no more stumpers. Okay, maybe over here in the green.
Hi, Glenn Chapman, AFP. Just are there any financial terms to this partnership?
That's
Is
a good
anybody
question.
sharing revenue or giving money one party to another? And the other, to what degree did the long-standing relationship with Microsoft play into this partnership now that Skype is being acquired?
Well, so I think we've covered the first one a bit. I mean, my understanding is there's no economic terms in this. It's the same free Skype service that you offer, but kind of built in Facebook form and trimmed down to be easy and work inside a social network.
They make
but we're also in the process of figuring out exactly what we want to do next. I mean, we have had features before this. Most of them were on the Skype client itself instead of inside Facebook. We took a turn for this iteration to do kind of video calling inside Facebook. Yep. We're already building out the roadmap for the next set of things that we're going to do, and Tony alluded to some of them might be some of the premium Skype features. We'll have to see what makes sense and what demand there is for different things. Whether it's PSTN type calling or group chat or whatever, we don't know yet, but we'll figure that out. The second thing was around Microsoft. Yeah, I mean, we have a really good relationship with Microsoft where we work with them on a lot of different stuff. I mean, search, and we worked with them on ads in the past, Bing, now this. I think that this is, I mean, it would have been fine when you guys were an independent company too, but now that you guys are owned by Microsoft, that gives us the sense of stability that it's going to be with a company that that we can trust, right? Which is good. And that we know we have a long-standing relationship.
You almost feel as if this was a long-standing dream of Mark's, is to work at Microsoft.
We're in the process, and the US.
You can see where I'm thinking about this.
But we're very hopeful, subject to regulatory approval. But just in terms of this, I think we started talking about this partnership and really take it to the next level way before that, really from an independent point of view. I would share a little story. The day we announced, we definitely came to see Mark. I think it was probably, for both of us, Steve and I, the most important strategic relationship. And if anything, it just got stronger because of the history and the ties. Steve and myself are really aligned on this, and I think we're off to a great start with the product.
Yeah, I mean, we had everything that we wanted to do in line before that. And then we were like, okay, well, now is this acquisition going to change anything? No? All right, keep going.
Yep.
I'd like him to answer that
question here
first
in the
question
middle
about is there a financial relationship between Facebook and
Hi,
Skype?
Susan Ettlinger from Altimeter Group. Mark, I'm wondering, first of all, I thought the focus on sharing behavior was really nice to see, focusing on that more than the membership, the raw membership. But it makes me wonder what's happening in terms of group management and friend management over time.
Yeah, something like some sort of
So that's
circle
definitely one of the
diagram.
trends, right, is that people are sharing with different audiences. The others, if you think about, right, if this doubling keeps on playing out, then that means that 5 years from now, people will be sharing 32 times as much stuff as they're sharing now. 10 years from now, they'll be sharing 1,000 or 1024 times as many things as they're sharing now. So the question is, what trends play into that? And we have a few theories as to the major things that are going to play into that. So one is just going to be proliferation of apps, right? So there are going to be more different social experiences that people are going to have because all these different companies are going to build different social applications now, and that's just going to give people more ways to share things, including some are going to be passive, where you just say, okay, I'm going to use this app, please share this type of stuff on my behalf. I think is undoubtedly how you get to some of those larger numbers. Another one is going to be mobile, obviously, where now instead of just being at a computer and being able to use Facebook and these different types of tools when you're at a computer, you now will be able to do them all the time, which of course will amplify the amount of sharing and engagement that everyone is doing. And then there are a few others, which are going to be social norms about how people think about sharing, how people share with small groups, just kind of the sociology behind how sharing develops. And I think that's definitely a big part of it. Now, what we've done is we've focused on groups, right? And the definition of groups is a group that everyone inside the group knows who else is in the group. And the reason why we have done that is
not
because
the case on Circles.
We've just found that the majority of users don't want to take the time to configure a lot of this stuff themselves. I was kind of saying this before, but even just accepting friends, right? That simple binary action, not even putting people into groups, a huge amount of our users will never go out of their way to even add someone as a friend. They'll only be passive about that, and it will only get involved in the system when enough of the people that they know find them and ask them to be friends, and then they get pulled in. So that's one of the valuable things about allowing the network to do the work for you, right? And one of the reasons why, in a really short amount of time, we now have half of the user base, which
this is a very convoluted explanation of why they don't do
Circles. Less than a year to get ramped up and be in groups and be using them. So that's the approach that we think is a lot more promising. But I mean, there are going to be a lot of different approaches. I mean, we've
like
done
to take
stuff
the
with
choice
friend
out of your
lists,
hands.
too. We have friend lists, right? I mean, people can use them. Power users do, and we've only ever seen about 5% of the user base want to adopt those. It's been more of a power user feature, but that doesn't mean that the people who use them don't get a lot of value out of them. But overall, I would actually say that the trend of these small groups being the thing that's driving the majority of sharing is not the biggest trend that we're seeing. It went in the order of the three things that I said before, where apps is actually the biggest thing for us. We're now just having more different apps integrate and be socially enabled is by far the biggest driver, and mobile is by far the second biggest driver, with the ability to segment stuff into groups and things like that being the third driver, which is still meaningful but is much smaller than the other two. So, all right. Thank you guys for coming out.
You've been watching a live coverage of
thanks for joining us. For the folks in the room,
Facebook's
we'll have the Skype team over on the left, and
awesome
Andrew
announcement.
One of the lead engineers on the
Mark
project.
Zuckerberg taking the stage. Tony Bates, CEO of Skype, standing next to him, and who just completed the Q&A. Tom Merritt is with me. This coverage, this breaking news coverage, brought to you by our friends at Slingbox, which can turn your iPad into a television. With a new iPad app from Slingbox, you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you go. Check it out at slingbox.com. And don't forget to get a Slingbox. You need one at Best Buy and Amazon. And now, an ad for Facebook. This is the ad for the new Facebook video. Very apt. They're all saying I love. Or I love different languages. So really, it's for hitting on people, I think. That's pretty much the message here. I've got twins. I like your twins. Where are the twins? Okay, we got it. Take off your shirt.
This is better than chat roulette.
Holy cow. These people look crazy.
Introducing Skype in a browser.
Yeah, that's basically it, isn't it? And video chat, which is something everybody's had for so long. So there you go. That's the Facebook announcement. What do you think, Tom Merritt?
Well, what they've done here is try to stop any bleeding that might happen once Google Plus goes live. among other things. This seems very much to be a response to Google Plus, to say to their hardcore Facebook users, hey, don't even listen to what else is out there. You know, everybody else is trying to imitate us. Now we've got video chat, so you can call your friends easily. You can group chat, so you can put together a group of people ad hoc and talk to them. We've made the design more usable. Why worry about anything else? Facebook is still awesome.
Right.
That seems to be the message they're trying to say here, and I think it's an important one for them to do. I think this was a little bit of a disorganized presentation. It was a little bit manic at times, but roughly this is not a bad announcement for them.
Mark Zuckerberg took the stage at the beginning saying this is launching season 2011, implying that this is the first of many announcements Facebook would be making over the next few months. He took a look back at the past 5 years of Facebook and said for the first 5 years it was all about numbers. It was all about how many people used Facebook. He says for the next 5 years, it's going to be about what applications we can use to take advantage of the numbers that are here. He says, no, we no longer have to worry about numbers growth. He did cop to the number 750 million active users. That's what had been speculated. He confirmed that that was, in fact, the number of active users. And he said, we're going to stop counting. We don't need to count. He said for the next 5 years, the question will be what kind of cool stuff.
Well, he wants to direct people away from the growth, because the growth's slowing down.
Of course it's going to slow down, but it has to. There's only so many people. And that actually raises a question about something else he said, which is that sharing is doubling every 2 years. It doubled over the last year. He expects it to double as much again this year and next year. But as you know, with exponential growth, and he did have to kind of explain this to the ignorant viewers, doubling every year means it gets astronomical very, very quickly, and I don't know if there's that much to share. I don't think that doubling trend can continue more than a year or two, to be honest.
It starts to involve creative accounting. If I make a video call with you that's sharing, how do you count that?
He says 4 billion things are currently shared every day on Facebook, but if you have 750 million users, that comes down to just about, 4 per user.
I think this is a better announcement for Skype than it is for Facebook.
Huge announcement for Skype.
Skype suddenly has access to 750 million users that they may or may not have had access to, but certainly not at the level that they have access to now.
We also talked a little bit during the broadcast, but I want to reiterate this, that Skype is a peer-to-peer system. So Skype is really the only way Facebook could have, I think, reasonably attempted this. Skype handles additional traffic by sharing it out to other users of the traffic. So this is something Skype can do immediately without loss of quality. Something Google can't do, which may be why Google Plus is slow to roll out. They're using, at least currently, a client-server system. They have to add more servers to make more calls.
And theoretically, it could make Skype more reliable to have this many users.
Right. Right. In fact, that's right, because more supernode users, which I expect Facebook users will be for the most part, are good for Skype. It also raises the question of how is Microsoft involved in this. Tony Bates, the CEO of Skype, said, as soon as we made the Microsoft deal, our first call was to Mark Zuckerberg, no doubt to reassure him. But Mark said immediately afterwards, this is great. And you really get the feeling that this is part of Facebook's plan. They've partnered with Bing to put social search results into Bing. It's either because they love Microsoft or more likely because they're so afraid of Google that they want to partner. They want to form an alliance with somebody who is also afraid of Google, and Microsoft's the logical answer.
And it seems like Microsoft and Facebook are very chummy. Microsoft invests in Facebook, so
what is the stake? It's something like 5%.
Yeah, it's a significant. It's not anywhere near a majority or anything, but it's a significant stake. And they see each other as allies in the war against Apple and Google. Of course, Apple and Google aren't partners anymore. There's rough seas between them, but those are the two companies that both of these companies are kind of aligned against.
I'm going to just play a little bit with this chat. One of the things you note immediately is that if you go into your chat.
Now, where's the thing to add another person to group chat? I don't see that on mine.
Oh
either.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
It's supposed to be a little like plus.
Yeah,
plus
he
sign.
said it would go wider, and I don't see that here. You do now have and they are rolling this out. I do have an incoming call from Andy Anako. However, Andy, I'll be right with you. But first, I have to set this up. And this is where you download the jar file. That's a Java archive file, very small one, to install Facebook calling, there's a Java application down. By the way, and Steve Gibson will have something to say about this in just a few minutes when we get to security now. This means that almost 750 million new people will be installing Java on their system. And Java, by the way, has had a fairly horrendous track record over the last 6 months in terms of security. So
and it's an Oracle product now, not a Sun product.
That's right. Although on Apple, you download the Java from Apple, not from for Macintosh. So now my Facebook video calling is finishing up. Do I want to accept network connections? That's because I have my firewall turned on. I'm going to allow it, and we're going to wait for Andy to answer. Now here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Ihnatko. Hey, Andy. Wait a minute. There he is. So now this is good news, Andy. I know you've hated Skype for a long time. Now you can use Skype and Facebook.
Well, it's great because I've also hated Facebook for a long time. So this is quite a time saver to consolidate like this.
I have to say the video quality is quite good. It seems like it's working quite well.
Yeah, it's very sharp, it's very clear, it's very simple. You can tell that the whole point was to make sure that there are no buttons to confuse Grandpa with.
So that's a good point. There's very little interface. I could choose the microphone, I can choose the camera, and that's about it.
That's exactly it. Only if you only see those controls if you put your mouse into this hovering window. Although I'm a bit skeptical. I don't know if you read my Google Plus post, but I'm in the middle of watching the live stream. I get my very first video call from anybody, which is from you. I click the button that says, yes, I would love to see a live version of what I've just seen demonstrated. I'll click the button and I'll be chatting with Leo in just 1 second, and it crashed my browser.
That's nice. Which browser?
Safari.
Okay.
And obviously it has to download a Java package, and Java is always a little bit squirrely, so maybe that's not necessarily Facebook's fault. But before they really get into the idea of saying, oh well, again, Grandpa, you'll never have to confuse anybody with this. It just works just splendidly. I don't know if it's that much less complicated than just installing a Skype client.
Well, we've had a lot of trouble with Skype 5 on Macintosh, and this sure worked a lot easier. I've put you full screen by just zooming the window. The quality is excellent. The lip sync is excellent. I think this is for the audience that they're trying to reach, probably a good product.
Yeah, that install is, like you say, Andy, is a little bit wonky for some people, but they'll get past that really quickly, and then it works pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved if it were truly a one-click, one-button. In truth, it's one click and then follow on-screen instructions to open the downloaded file, and then click another button that says that, when your browser warns you about installing a piece of JavaScript, don't worry about that, Grandpa. It's not going to steal your credit card numbers and steal your house. It's going to be okay. But yeah, I mean, as far as
Facebook.
As far as going from zero, from never having had video calling set up on a computer before to actually talking to somebody and having it be a positive experience, I think this is as good as I've ever seen it.
Curtis B has a very good point in the chat room. You don't have to set up a Skype account to do this.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
If you have Facebook, you already have this, and that's huge.
I wonder if you'll be able to link those accounts together, because he indicated we'd like to upsell people eventually. I already have Skype in.
That's a good point.
I want to, if they offer that through Facebook, I want to link that up.
Right.
Yeah, that's one question that I wish that came up in the Q&A, or at least I didn't see it, which is what's in it for Microsoft, what's in it for Skype? Is Facebook going to be sharing some traffic information about who's using the service? Is it just a case of getting regular people to associate Skype with easy, one-click, no-fuss, always works conferencing, or if they're actually getting revenue out of this?
Andy Ihnatko, thank you for a spontaneous call-in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for helping me write my column today.
Always glad to do it. Andy Ihnatko from the Chicago Sun-Times, and, of course, our regular contributor on Mac Break Weekly. Talk to you later, Andy.
See you later.
Bye-bye. So now, how do I hang up?
Close this window to end the call.
Yeah, but I have it. There we go. Close the window.
Yeah.
So I'll go here. I have to say, that is going to be very easy for Grandpa.
Yeah.
Now, Eileen...
It only confused us because we're too sophisticated.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Eileen called me and left me a message when I was out, but I don't know how to get to that message, Eileen, so I don't... Oh, there it is, one attached file. Let's look at that. Does that open up? Okay.
Where'd it go?
Either I'm too sophisticated or this is not working.
I don't think it's working.
It's actually now trying for me to attach a file to it.
No.
So, okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Eileen doesn't want me to play it anyway, so. Very interesting. Not so much, I think, a response to Google Plus, although clearly, Facebook rushed this so that they could respond to Google Plus. But really adding features, obviously, that they had planned for some time. And features that I think the Facebook audience probably will appreciate.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing for Facebook. It's all about the relative marketplace about whether this is good or not.
Right.
It seems like a good feature for Facebook users who like Facebook.
You've been watching live coverage of the Facebook announcement, the awesome announcement as they build it. They've announced group chat, new design for chat, adding a group chat sidebar, and most importantly, built-in Skype video calling within Facebook chat, giving it parity with a lot of other chat clients, including AIM, Yahoo, and in fact even Google Talk.
And they didn't talk about it here, but Skype has a page up saying Facebook is now integrated into Skype for Windows 5.3, so that you can now have everything, see your news feed and all of that stuff.
Oh, that's
in the
interesting.
Skype client.
So it's all part of the Skype universe. We aren't going to cover this full time, but I should mention that the town hall, the Twitter town hall, with the president is going on right now.
In order to
He's answering questions
technology.
from Twitter.
And a lot of that has to come from government.
That's
how
really
the
the
internet
only
got
tech
formed. That's
part
how
of this
GPS
story
got
is that
formed.
the questions are submitted through Twitter.
Yeah, we have to get to our Security Now show.
Number two, we've got a...
That's Jack Dorsey, by the way, which is interesting because, of course, Jack left Twitter to start Square and recently came back to Twitter as the product guy as Twitter struggled a little bit. Some of the existing Twitter founders have gone off to restart Obvious, Biz Stone and
But
Ed Williams.
Jack is not the CEO. Dick Costolo is
Dick
the
Costolo's
CEO.
still CEO.
Jack is an executive director.
Yeah. And my impression more for product design and product than anything else.
But maybe they thought he was the best on camera.
Right. Well, it was, in fact, Jack's idea, Twitter was. So
We've got to invest.
normally Biz Stone or Ev Williams would be leading this.
Combine
They're
high tech
being obvious
with manufacturing, and then you get the best of all worlds.
You mentioned education.
Who
There's
did?
A lot of questions.
The president did live tweet.
Okay.
On the economy. This one in particular.
That computer,
is
that
from a
laptop
curator
over there, he went over and
is pulling
tweeted.
From a student
So they're now pulling up questions. Ask
Higher ed
Obama
is
as the
necessary for a
hashtag.
stronger economy, but for some middle-class Americans, it's
interesting.
becoming too expensive. What can be done?
Well, here's some good news. We've already done something that is very significant, and people may not
Good
know.
interface. They're showing the question being answered now, although it's out of date.
Higher education
Presumably
package
that will
we
be
passed
updated.
last year.
You can see the
What we
official
were able to
Q&A
do was
tweets
take
below
away
it.
Subsidies that were going
There
to
we go.
banks for serving as middlemen in the student
And
loan program.
you can also see everyone who is asking questions right now
help young people
in a
through Pell
real-time
Grants
feed.
and lower rates on student loans. And
You know, I
there
think
are millions
Facebook,
of
frankly, is
students
better
who are
suited
getting
to this
more
kind of thing than
affordable,
Twitter, but Twitter certainly has
student loans
the
and grants as a consequence of the steps
Well, you know,
that
Jeff
we've already
Jarvis
taken. This is
on
about
Google Plus noted that Twitter was a better way to follow the Facebook announcement than Google Plus because of the chronology.
Right.
Because you see things in order, whereas Google Plus does that waiting and like Facebook does.
That's a good point, yeah. Well, we're going to break away from our coverage of this town hall, but if you would like to follow it, it's askobama.twitter.com. We have to go to our regularly scheduled programming, delayed already 15 minutes.
It's not already in progress either.
Not already in progress, soon to be in progress. Tom Merritt, thank you for coming in a little early. We'll talk more about this, I'm sure, tonight on TNT, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern at live.twit.tv. And, of course, you can always get it after the fact.
Unless something amazing happens, probably be the lead story.
Something more awesome?
Yeah, it could be. Could happen.
Something more awesome than
Awesome
that?
things happen all the time.
Make sure you watch. And, of course, if you can't watch, you can download it shortly after the show. We make sure we get it out as quickly as possible. Jason Howell does. At twit.tv/TNT or on iTunes or the Zune Marketplace or all the places you get podcasts. Thanks, Tom. I'm going to let you go.
Thanks, Leo.
Take care. And once again, thank our good friends at Slingbox for making this all possible. Slingbox is the way to get your television set up into your iPad, your iPhone, your iPod Touch with Wi-Fi, your Android phone, your laptop computer. It's very simple. You just go out and get the Slingbox. You can get it at Amazon or Best Buy. You plug it into all your TV things, your satellite box, your cable box, your DVR, even your Blu-ray player. And then you plug it into the internet. Now, wherever you go, you log into your Slingbox. You can control all those devices, play back content from any of the devices, watch your own TV at no additional charge because you've already paid for your home system. So there's no subscription fee. Anywhere you can get on the internet, you can watch your home TV system. Great for watching the big game, anything you've got on the DVR. It's really fantastic. When we do thank our friends at Slingbox for making this possible. You check out the Slingbox now at Best Buy or Amazon, or learn more at slingbox.com. And, of course, tune in to live.twit.tv anytime there's breaking news, especially this kind of announcement. We will always give you the live feed as well as our commentary as it goes. So thank you all for joining us.